What's going on, guys? Welcome back. My name is Brandon, and today we're going to continue our progress on the MIG welded aluminum race cabinets. We've had a little bit of snag. Stick around. For those of you that are new here, we're building these aluminum race cabinets that are going to go in the front of my enclosed trailer. This trailer is going to be a dual purpose use. It's going to be a motorcycle toy hauler and a mobile welding rig. Well, building the doors is where we're on for this episode, and I had a little bit of a hiccup in the design build, and let me show you why. A lot of this stuff that I build, I'm building it in my head and I'm doing it as we go, and this is kind of one of the drawbacks to that. So our budget cabinets may not be on budget anymore. And the issue is I don't have anything to go by. I don't have anything to look at firsthand, so I'm kind of just doing this as I go. All of this frame that you see, or the bulkhead of what I've been calling this, is made out of 1-inch square aluminum tube by 1/8 inch thick. Then this latch right here, if you look, that's fairly close to the edge. Now, I think what this is an actual piece of sheet aluminum versus I was going to build a frame and then skin it over with .063 aluminum and then rivet it on to keep it nice and light and to try to save a little bit of money. Well, I've got the latches. These are those right there, and I figured out that I can't build those frames the way I want to, and I'm going to show you why right now. So this is the rough opening of the frame. Now picture me building another frame inside of this and then skinning it with aluminum. Well, at best, that's going to put the edge of this latch back 1 inch in from the edge, so that's not going to work. You can see here I'm just holding up a piece of that 1-inch scrap, and if that was even butted right up to it, touching it, this latch piece will never get beyond this side to be able to latch it to the frame. So that doesn't work. That won't work. One of the options that I had is I could, go down, stop it, put this latch in, and then restart the 1-inch tube on the other side of it so I could get it close enough so this could latch. The problem with that is that 063 material would kink. It would fold right here, so we can't have that. Oh, that's always nice when you go to hit something with a hammer and you miss. Yeah, that was one of my snowblower escapades, but we'll talk about that later. So I wasn't able to do that, so it changed the plans of a different material. So now I've gone with a full sheet 4x8 sheet of aluminum, and we're going to build the doors out of that. It'll be a lot easier, I think. Be a lot more sturdy. I will still do the perimeter around it, but I'm going to do it in 3/4 inch, a lot smaller. Then I'll be able to come down, stop it if I need to, put the latch in, pick back up, and I don't have to worry about that weak spot right in the middle. The issue with that is that changed the budget quite a bit. A 4x8 sheet, 1/8 inch thick of aluminum cost me $245. That's the going price right now. However, a half sheet of the aluminum was $189. So for a few dollars more, makes sense to buy the full sheet, and that's what I did. Now we have plenty of material, but the budget cabinets aren't quite so budget now, just for the simple fact that I couldn't use 063 material like I wanted to. One other design flaw that I did when I made this area right here, guys, is where this factory Craftsman toolbox is going to slide in right there. That's all good to go. And then I made these openings, whatever they needed to be, from the edge of the toolbox to the side of the trailer. Well, not really thinking much about it. This was like 25 inches wide from here to here. Well, it's not divisible into a 4x8 sheet very well. So what I did was, to maximize my scrap, is I added another piece of 1x1 tube next to this piece here. So now my opening is exactly 24 inches wide from here to here, and it's exactly 3 feet tall, or 36 inches. So this will maximize my scrap a little bit better. So that's where we're at, guys. Minor setback, not a big deal, but it does add a little bit more to the project. But like I said, on the good aspect side of this, I'm not cheaping out. I've got a nice full sheet of material. I can add some nice shelves, and if I don't use it for shelves, I can always build some really cool holders, some gas can holders. I can make some boxes to hold aerosol cans and paint cans, and it'll get used. It's not like it's going to go to waste. So with that being being said, guys, we've got to lay out this aluminum in my small cramped shop, and we're going to get this cut to size. So the easiest way to do this is I'm going to lay down some sawhorses, I'm going to put down some wood cribbing or some wood bed to set this on, set the aluminum on top of it, and then we can lay it all out. For those of you that follow me over on Facebook and on Instagram, you guys already know that this is what we're doing right here, and we are in our tiny cramped workshop. The biggest issue when you're cutting sheet, whether it's metal or whether it's wood, is you need to make sure that you have a nice sturdy base so that, one, you can make a nice accurate cut and you're not trying to be a contortionist trying to like hold sheets and keep everything stable so you don't pinch your cut. So what I've got is a couple sawhorses, and I've got some spreaders going across it so that this material is completely supported nicely. And when we go to cut this, we'll end up cutting through just a little bit into these boards right here. They're just sacrificial. It's for this anyways, so that'll be just fine. So I've determined that each of these is 2 feet wide, so 2 feet wide, 2 feet wide, and with the margins on each side, probably have like a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch there. So it's probably going to be like 23.5 inches roughly. And as I said, they're 3 feet tall. The easiest way to maximize what we have for material here is, this is an 8-foot sheet, is I will cut this in half. So we'll cut it in half to 4 feet. And you can see I've made just a visual line right here, just so you guys can see what you're doing. You'll see here in a minute that this line really won't much matter. That'll give me 4 foot by 4 foot. And what I'll do is I'll come up a foot and then rip a 12-inch strip across this way, and then that'll leave me 3 foot by 4 foot, and then we'll just cut those in half. And we'll have a nice long 12-inch wide strip down here to maximize that piece, and that will end up being for this panel here. One good thing is I've actually been using this toolbox to hold a lot of the supplies as they come in, so check this out. Now these are some things that we bought. Some little hydraulic rams. These are going to be awesome. I can't wait to put these in. So these will go, you know, something like this down in here. So when I pop the latches, these rams will push the door up and hold it in the up position so it's not flapping down on your hands. I don't want it to go, I could hinge it on the bottom and have it fold down this way, but then that means that the face or the finished face of the cabinet would be facing down on the trailer, and I don't want to take a chance of like scarring up that finish because I think we're going to do powder coat. So I'll have it hinged on the top so they open up this way. And these will be a nice little addition. These come in different ratings. I think this one is 10 inches long, and it's rated for the least amount of weight. I think it's rated for like 9 pounds. Yeah, it's like 9 pounds. It doesn't take a lot to compress it. We'll be using these at some point. So to cut this aluminum, we're actually going to use this saw right here. And I actually got this specifically for this project, knowing that I was going to be doing this months ago. And this is an Evolution circular saw, but like I said, it has the capability of being a track saw. So it is awesome when it comes to doing stuff like this. And the advantages of the track saw is that we'll put it together here in a second, but all the pieces there will line up across this sheet, and the saw slides across those tracks so that it just minimizes the chance of scratching up your work surface. There's a couple other ways you can do it too. I've done it in the past by, you can put tape on the base of your saw, and that'll help protect the material so it doesn't get scratched. And then you can clamp a straight edge along the side of your workpiece, clamp it down, and then run the side of the guard here, or the base plate, you run that along the edge of your straight edge, and that makes for a nice cut as well. So, but like I said, I got this for the sole purposes of cutting this aluminum sheet, so I want to try it out and see how good it's going to work. I may have to read the directions to try to figure this out. So it's got some foam on this side, so this is obviously the... Oh wow, that's kind of grippy. I like that. So far I'm like super impressed with this track system. Got it all bolted together. and super easy to do. Comes with these like little strips, these little black things that are inside these grooves, and you just slide it up and just balance it basically over each two and just tighten down the little grub screw and leave like a 1 or a 2 millimeter gap, it says, in between each, and you're good to go. They also have like a accessory that fits down inside here that you can use to like clamp the track down. I don't have that, but I don't know as if it's necessary for what we're doing. But I'll tell you what, this glides super smooth along this track. It's pretty impressive. Let me show you how it works. So you can see it has this little groove right here, and then you can see this right here and here. These are little knobs. It's like a little cam. It's like a little eccentric cam that used to take up a little bit of the slack in this, so it's a nice tight fit so that you don't have like wobble. You obviously want it snug, but you don't want it so snug that it won't slide. So you just bring this up so it doesn't turn anymore, and then just back it off a little bit. And just look how smooth this is, guys. It's like on butter. I wish you could feel how just smooth and effortless this slides. But obviously I think it's because this base is kind of like slippery, and these little guides and glides right here, they're like plastic, so those are slippery, and yeah. Pretty impressive stuff. And it also even has like a little dust port that you can bolt on here and use different attachments right here for like your shop vac, so if you don't want chips. It's got an edge guide like you'd normally get for a circular saw. Yeah, I just like to keep all my stuff together. I use like Ziploc freezer bags and just keep all my stuff together. Normally what I do, guys, is I would put down like some paraffin wax or candle wax. You can get this at any pretty much hardware store, and what this does is it just lengthens the life of your blade. It keeps it running a little bit cooler, but whereas we are going to have this powder coated, I don't want like any oil products getting on this any more than what's probably already on it, because I don't want any issues with adhesion for the powder coat. You could also use like WD-40. That also works as a nice coolant when cutting aluminum, but again, like I said, I'm powder coating this stuff, so I don't want that to have any issues with adhesion for the powder coat. I'm just cutting this dry as it is, and we're just using this aluminum cutting blade. It's what it's made for, so it should work really good. So I think we're just about set to start cutting this, guys. It makes it super easy because we just line up the edge of our track saw with our line and we cut it. That's the great part about this. Just line this white edge right up to our line. I verified that my line is exactly 4 feet, so we're good there. That first time this saw cuts, it's actually going to cut on that white edge and take a little bit of that material out. I'll just have to set the blade depth just a little bit beyond the 1/8 inch thickness of this plate, and I've got a little clamp on one end of this just to hold everything steady. And off we go. That was pretty slick, guys. There. Is that? Oh yeah. Nice. And as we said, now we're going to come make these 3 foot tall and then cut this section off the bottom. This will be scrap here. So that we can support this section right here, I'm going to rotate this sheet. I'm also going to identify this as the factory edge. Up and left would be that way. Just so that we know that these are factory pieces right here. Boy, it doesn't get much easier than this, guys. What I did was I just put a little scribe mark right there, then went over there and did the same thing, put a scribe mark, then took a straight edge and connected the two, and that's that line you can see. So now all we do is take this white little edge right here, line that up to that line because that's where the edge of the blade's going to cut. Do the same thing right here, and that's it. Clamp it down, cut it, and that'll be perfectly straight along that. How cool is that, guys? really makes things simple, guys. I have a little tick mark right here. Line it up to the edge of that little white piece. Same thing down here. Line it up to that tick mark. Set the saw on it and go. Really don't even need to clamp it. Seems like it stays pretty solid. Double check it just by taking a measurement off the edge. 16 5/8. Yeah, and there's our rough cut doors right there. So this is where we make the doors fit perfect, guys. Now, the height, I already knew I allowed a little bit of height. So you can see that right there. So that height will balance out, you know, between the top and the bottom, because you don't want these so tight that they rub when they open and they close, and that's the gap that I wanted. That's probably about 3/8 of an inch, and like I said, we'll balance that between the top and the bottom. You can see here we got a little bit of light. Down bottom it's tight. Up top it starts getting tight again as well. So to cure that, just going to scribe right on the face of this, just like that. And then we'll know that this is the exact opening width. Whatever this is, we'll just add that to that mark we just scribed so that it balances all the way around the door evenly. Probably hard to see it, but that's the mark right there that I scribed. That's the exact width of the frame. And then I just came over 3/8 of an inch from that line, made a mark right there, and that's where I'll pull a straight edge across. So it will be 3/8 of an inch under the exact measurement. I'd rather have a little bit bigger gap than fight with these doors always scrubbing and rubbing. That's not enjoyable. Just so I have another reference, I'll use a straight edge and put a scribe line down the length of it. I'll tell you what, guys, using this track saw, it is a huge time saver, because literally it's that easy for me to line up just like that. Line that white edge up with my mark and we are dialed in. Oh, I love it. Yes. Perfect. This thing looks incredible. Okay, good. So this one is all dialed in, cut to size, looks perfect. Margins are great. Looks awesome. We'll get the next door cut, and then we're going to put an aluminum frame on the inside of this just to stiffen it up a little bit. Not that it has to be, but yeah, I think it'll make the door sound a lot more solid when it closes. It'll kind of give it that little thunk sound to it versus like a tinny like that. That's what I'm hoping for. Coming along good. Looks super good, guys. I'm happy with it. So here's a good example, guys, of a door that is a little bit out of square, okay? And I'll show you how we'll make it look perfect. I mean, it's not out much, but any little bit, like around a margin of a perimeter, you'll notice it if it's off a little bit. So the way I do it is that I'm taking this straight edge right here, which is why I kind of always orient the material like so it's up and right. This just doesn't apply to like metal. This applies to like wood or any other type of door that you're trying to build. I could have easily gone over this so that the material closed over this frame. Been a lot easier, been a lot quicker, because then you don't really have to do a great job. If your opening's off a little bit, oh well, you'll never notice it. But I like the looks of it set inside this frame. So the way I'm doing this is I'll take this frame and hold my right side edge flush so it's touching down here. This is where the hinge will be, okay? So it's hitting here at the top. If it's hard to see, but if you look at the bottom, it's tight here and it's hanging over on this side. So what I'll do to get a perfect measurement is scribe along that edge right there. And then I'll scribe along this edge here, and that line will be the perfect inside measurement of this. Yeah, so this is a piece of cake. So still upright. We kept it flush along there. The margin along the top looked to be a perfect 3/8 of an inch. It was touching right here, but it was not right here. So it needs to be cut along this line right here so that that margin all stays the same and it looks perfect. So we got to cut this off. Here is the flush line to one side. So from here, we'll come back 3/8, scribe another line, come up here, come over 3/8, scribe another line, and that'll be perfect all the way around. That'll have the perfect reveal. That'll look really good. If I've done this right, it should fit perfectly. And it does. Yes. We're making good progress, guys. We've got this panel cut, we got this panel cut, and we've got this one cut. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a perimeter around the interior of this frame right here. And I'm going to start by putting a piece of 3/4 inch square tube by 1/8 inch thick. And the reason for that is that will just give our continuous hinge something nice to grab onto. So you can see how nice that fits on that 3/4 tube. So I'll do 3/4 along this vertical edge. And then what I plan on doing is coming across, and then down on this side. And I'm probably going to rip this in half on a table saw. So it'll be 3/4 by whatever, 3/8. It'll just be basically like a little stiffening rib on the inside of this door. I don't know if it needs it or not, we'll see. It might cause more problems than good because by me welding this, I could end up warping this panel. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, this is all kind of experimenting and I'm building it as I go. So we'll see. It won't be a big deal for this one because this is a little panel. But first thing I need to do is make this vertical piece 35.5. And guys, you can see I obviously love Evolution stuff because this is my Evolution wood and metal cutting table saw. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a piece of this and cut it down into half the width. So that way it'll just give a little bit of support. And you'll see what I mean if I take this and support it against this door right here. You see how there's a little bit of a gap there if I pull that shut, so that'll just help stiffen up those doors a little bit. Alright, so we're set up, guys. This is the left cabinet door. This is the hinge side, so we're gonna tack along this. Just put some short tacks all along this. That's all we're gonna do to add these stiffeners to these doors. It's not gonna take much. It doesn't take a whole lot. We just need to add a little bit of material just to stiffen the door up. And for material, we're gonna be using Blue Demon 35 thousandths 4043 wire, and we're going to be doing it with a spool gun. Couple techniques that you want to do with a spool gun is obviously you need to run pure argon when you're MIG welding aluminum, and you want to have like an angle that you'd use for MIG welding steel, but you always got to push. And the reason for pushing when you're MIG welding aluminum is it just flows the coverage gas forward. I mean, it's not the end of the world. If you do drag it and you get into a position where you just have to drag it, that's okay too. I mean, I've done it. It'll hold. This isn't anything structural or critical, but you always want to try to push it if you can. And for this, I'm using the Yes Welder 211P. Now, this is a double pulse machine, and I think so far, be honest with you guys, my personal opinion of all the Yes Welders that I have, and I have quite a few of them, I think this one's probably my favorite. And I've not welded anything other than aluminum with it, and I also have the, what is it, the 250P, the Pro model, and I think I might like this one a little bit better. And I think it's just a lot easier to do. You can store 10 presets. Once you get a setting dialed in and you get things just the way you want it, you can store the setting, you can save it, and then you can recall it later. Because, you know, I'm on to so many different things, I may not remember from one day to the next of what my best setting was. So I know that with a spool gun aluminum, if I'm using 3/64 4043 on 1/8 inch, go to channel 3, and that's what I've got it dialed in for that setting. We're going to probably have to do a little bit of fiddling for this 35 thousandths wire, just because I don't have a preset yet, but we'll try it and we'll see how it goes. Turn it on. I think my gas is already on. Yep, we're running 30 CFH of argon, and I've got everything clamped down, all flush, and like I say, just going to do a few tacks on the backside, and that's going to be good. The fumes from welding aluminum are bad, so make sure you're wearing a respirator to protect your lungs. So I think that's one door complete, guys. I don't know how the middle is, if it's got any like bows in it, but maybe a little. Might want to put maybe just like a stiffener across the center. Probably wouldn't hurt. Let's see what that does. So yeah, all in all, I think they look pretty darn good. Let's see if we got any warp or anything in it. No, they look pretty straight, guys. Yep, I don't see any warp. And I don't even know if we need anything in the middle either. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I am super happy how these came out. No warping or anything. They are incredible. So what I'm going to do is I still got to rip this for the other door, top and bottom. So that's going to be one of these, and then I'm going to rip another one in half, and I'm just going to put a stiffener right in the middle, because there's just a slight bow in the middle of the door, and I think what it'll do is it'll just keep the door a lot more rigid, and I'll just kind of like tack it on both sides all the way across right in the middle. Probably doesn't really need it, and I'm pretty confident I don't need it, but I'm right here, I might as well do it, so give it a little bit extra. Tell you what, guys, sometimes when you build stuff, you always kind of like look back on the project and you say, well, if I could have done something different, I would have changed this, or I would have changed that. And I'll tell you what, guys, other than the two things that I just mentioned in this video, other than, you know, maximizing the scrap and going with a thicker panel, I'm totally happy. And I'm actually glad that we went with a thicker panel, because overall, guys, this gave us a better project. And quite honestly, if it means something being like skimpy or cheesy versus spending a little bit extra to have something better, I think I'm like most people, it's almost worth it to spend something a little bit more to have something a little bit better. So although I talked to you in the beginning about $245 for that plate, well, the 063 material was $115. So, you know, for, you know, $100 more roughly, I'm ending up with a lot better product. Because either way, I had to buy something to skin those doors with, whether it was 063 material or whether it was 1/8 inch material. And the difference between the two is about $100. Where we're at now, guys, is I got to start laying out these latches. And I think what I'm going to do is these doors are 3 feet tall. I'll probably come down like from the top, you know, 1/3 of the way, so like 12 inches down. And that way it's just more convenient. You don't have to bend down as far to open the latch. And we'll get these cut in. So the way these work, obviously, is here's the space right here. Then it has this little saddle that goes around the back of the door to pinch this lock in there. So we will get this all measured out and get this all transferred onto this, and then we'll cut it out. I'm not sure how I'm going to cut it. Probably drill some holes in the corners and just jigsaw it, I'm guessing, probably, but I don't know, we'll see. Could use a router too. Router works good to cut aluminum. And let's put some visual lines on there. We'll come down foot to center. So obviously we can't have this latch hang beyond the door, so it's got to go at least beyond the edge of it. So somewhere like that, 1.25 inches. So we will have it back 1.25 inches from the edge of the door. So I'll put a mark at 1.25 inches. Another thing I could do is I could cut this shape into a piece of aluminum and then use a router guide and just basically clamp that template for aluminum onto this sheet, and then I could just repeat a bunch of these that I have to do. But as of right now, we're only doing 4 of these, and it's just as easy to pretty much for me put this down on, just scribe it on. It's pretty easy. Probably blue painter's tape would work good for this, but I don't see that I have any. All I've got is some masking tape, so hopefully this doesn't leave a whole bunch of residue behind. Alright guys, that masking tape was a massive pain, so I just went and bought the right stuff that we need and got some blue painter's tape. It was giving me a huge pain trying to get it off the reel, and it was ripping, and you know how it goes when you're dealing with tape that's old. Put a couple layers around here to help protect it, and we'll also cover the base of the saw as well. Then once we get this all cut out, we'll try this latch, make sure it fits in there good, and then we'll deburr it with a file. And I'm going to show you a little secret to files, which I think you're going to like. You'll be seeing that here coming right up. Okay, it's a little snug on the back end right here. So we don't really have to take a lot, so we're just going to use a flat file. And we'll go right to that line. Problem with aluminum is that it clogs up files and cutting tools. Oh, look at that. Perfect. I want to show you that little trick on the file. This is just a piece of used copper water pipe. Had a fitting on the end of it. I don't even know what it came off from, but this is what you're going to use to clean your files. I've just taken the end of it and crimped it in a vise. That's all you have to do. Set your file down and run it over the teeth in the direction of the teeth. Don't go this way. If the teeth are cut in at an angle, that's the angle you want to run this cleaning tool at. It'll give you like little ridges in this little tool that you build. This will rejuvenate all your files. You'll be amazed at how well it works when you're done. All for pretty much not a whole lot of money. If you can find a piece of copper pipe laying around, this one just happened to have a fitting on it. I didn't really care, but yeah, this will last a long time. Throw it in your toolbox and you'll have it forever. For now, we'll just mock all this stuff up, but I don't want to go, you know, too crazy tight, because this I probably have on like some Loctite and stuff like that on these threads so they don't back off, but we're not going to do that right yet. Right now we're just going to get everything fitting good and mocked up. All right, now it's time to install the piano hinges, and kind of struggling with this. I don't really know what I'm doing here. So what I've got is I got the door just stood up on its edge so I can work on it, and I just protected it with this little piece of aluminum here. So I've got my hinge cut to the length of the door, so that fits nice and flush like that. So that's flush there, and that's flush there. And so this hinge is 1.5 inches wide. So I don't know if I'm supposed to like have the hinge flush like that. I really like the looks of this when the hinge is flush like this to the face, but it looks like if it's flush like that, it won't open up beyond 90. So this is the left door that I'm working on. So 90 being out this way, I want it to go back and bump the wall. So it needs to go back maybe like 95 degrees, or maybe 100 degrees. Not a lot. I mean, obviously it needs to bump back to the wall, and I just don't want to rip the fasteners out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use rivets to rivet these on, but I'm going to have to do like 3 of them first to try it. But I like the looks of it flush, but I think it won't open past 90 if I do it flush. So I think what I got to do, I think the right way to install these is you fold these around like that, and then I'd put a rivet right here, and that would kind of like stick out like that. So I looked online, and I didn't, all kinds of people showing how to do it, but they never, the ones I looked at, and I wasn't going to spend all day looking at them, didn't look like they showed a real close-up view. These kind of look like these hinges, like they're sticking beyond just a little bit past the frame from what I can tell right here. So I'm thinking that that's what I have to do. We'll try it. We'll give it a go and see what happens. That looks like it right there. I'll put 3 in it on the door to try it, and then we'll put it in the frame and see how that works. And for rivets, I'm using a 3/16 aluminum rivet. I mean, that looks nice, looks professional. You can see down there how it's, I mean, it probably doesn't have to be that long, but I'm sure it doesn't hurt, I guess. So I'll get another one in the middle, and then another one at the bottom, and then we'll try to like stuff it in the frame and see how that thing works. Then if these are right, what I'll do is leave these 3 rivets on here, drill all the holes for all the rivets, that way it'll be all mocked up. That way I can send it out to powder coat, all the holes will be in it, and then we can rivet the hinge on after it comes back from powder coat. I think it'll give it a lot cleaner look if we do it that way. Yeah, that's not bad, guys. That's probably how it's supposed to go, actually. So that folds back onto itself, making like a 90 degree, and that's what it looks like down the edge of it. Look, that's not bad. That looks good. Okay, now we just got to figure out how to get this centered in that opening. All right, so this is the setup, guys. We'll give it a go. I've got 2 pieces of 1/8 inch plate stacked underneath the hinge, which is flush to the bottom of the door. So that's giving me a 1/4 inch reveal on the bottom. It might be hard to see, but I'm calling this space right here, I'm calling that like a window. I don't know if you can see, but it's just beyond the outside face of this cabinet, just a little bit. And that's the reason for that, is that's where the top's at. So I've just matched them. So, and the top is the same way. And then if I come out here You kind of look at it that way and look down it. It all looks the same. So we'll pop a couple rivets in that and we'll see how this thing is going to look. But so far I am super happy with how this is coming along. Probably won't be able to see anything past my big head, but... Alright guys, you're going to see what I'm going to see. I love it. Absolutely love it, guys. Look at the reveal on the top. Really tight reveal. That's what I wanted. More reveal on the bottom, which that's again also what I wanted. I'd rather have more reveal at the bottom than on the top. That's kind of what you're going to see because you're going to be standing up and you're going to see that. I'm going to do the other one. I'm going to do it off camera. You guys don't need to see it. It'll be just like doing this one. I couldn't be happier, guys. These things came out exactly how I was hoping they would, and we are just about ready to get them off the powder coat. So press this button, door opens up, and I still got to drill all the other holes into the rest here. I put a piece of 3/4 inch right here as a stop, and I added a piece of 1/4 inch flat bar right here just so that the latching mechanism would have a nice thick plate to bite into. Let me show you how this is. Closes it just like that, and I'll show you around the back. So this is how that works. When you press this lever here, this pops open like that, and then it allows the door to open just like that. When you press this to close it, it works just like this, just like that, and it's all adjustable in and out for tightness. So yeah, I am super happy how this is. Just got to finish up this door, make this little piece here, and probably next week we will work on putting the hydraulics on this piece, and then we can start on the upper cabinets. But yeah, we can get at least this door, and this door over to powder coat. This is going to look good, and I still got a little bit of work to easing the edges and going over everything with a file, and you know, obviously just got to touch everything with my hands to make sure I feel nothing that's sharp, because that's the last thing you want is somebody to feel a real sharp edge on your project, and that just to them, or to me anyways, sends a message of poor quality. So don't have that message. Make sure you take your time and go over all your stuff. Finishing is kind of like is what takes the longest on anything, you know. The welding part of things really doesn't take that long. It's everything that leads up to it. Kind of like painting, you know. The painting doesn't take that long to paint. It's just all the prep work leading up to it. So, but yeah, I am super happy. I can't wait to see these in the trailer. So it won't be long. We'll be installing them in the trailer. And I've also got some other cool things in store for the trailer as well, because last year we had a mishaps on one of our motorcycles hauling it down the road. One of the straps came loose, the motorcycle flipped on its side. It was actually my wife's dirt bike, and I didn't know. I just kept going down the road, and the thing was getting all thrashed and bouncing around, and the exhaust got all stove up. So we've got some things in the works. We're actually going to be installing a camera system inside the trailer that is going to be an inexpensive one, really simple, wireless, so that when you're going down the road, we're going to be doing a big road trip this summer, that when you're driving down the road, you can look at your cargo inside the trailer to know that your stuff isn't shifted everywhere, or you know, that your motorcycle isn't laying upside down in the trailer. So that's all there is to it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a ton of fun doing it. If you're wondering about any of the tools or any of the things that you see me using, I'll have links down below so you guys can check it out. There's new videos every Friday, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next Friday, guys, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, God bless. See ya.